So, welcome to the podcast. Today, I have an extremely pleasant surprise for everybody out there. One of my favorite YouTubers and somebody who is doing something extraordinary in the Masters of the Universe realm out there because we're all big fans. Welcome to the channel and the podcast, Jay over at Mega J Retro. How you doing, brother?
How's it going, Lawrence? Good to see you, brother.
So I got to start off by saying this. We talked a little backstage, but I have been watching your YouTube channel since the pandemic, probably before that, with all the toy hunts you've done, looking for stuff. And the first thing, before we go any further, I got to say, you have to bring back the toy hunts, brother, because I miss the little sounds you used to do when you find things and all the great stuff that you guys have in Canada. I know it's tough right now with the way the tariffs are and stuff, but I got to tell you, man, some of that content you put out like really got me through that early part of COVID and beyond. So we miss you out there. We miss those toy hunts.
Yeah. You know what, Lawrence? It's crazy. How many people tell me that they miss the hunt? So I funnily enough, I today and the other day, I went back to Toys R Us and I was shocked. So a lot of great content's coming back up. I probably am going to do a full tour of we'll talk about it right now. I'm probably going to do a full tour of Toys R Us for everybody, and the renovations they've done, the changes that they made, as well as the fact that things are happening here in Canada. And now it's my understanding, thanks to our good friends at Toy Habits and other resources, that Toys R Us is going forward with their plans in the United States to open up 30 new flagship stores, hopefully, and this is hopefully before the holidays. So let's see if that actually happens, Lawrence, because that'll be crazy, wouldn't it?
I heard about that. So I wasn't sure how that was going to work. If it was going to be like the smaller stores that they have now, like they have them in like Macy's, stuff like that. Yep. A couple of like smaller locations. There's one in New Jersey by me, but nothing crazy like we grew up with. But I love watching your videos, especially going to the Toys R Us. Not only was I was like really like feeling for you because the prices out there are crazy, which I remember you showing, but just because you also were getting things that I wasn't seeing in stores out here at the time either. Like when the original Motu Origins came out, like you guys got them first before I even saw them on shelves. So that was a real treat for me.
It is. It's funny how things go. Everything's cyclical, right? Everything goes. What goes around comes around. So yeah, we were getting them first sometimes. Sometimes we were getting them a little bit later. But as it is right now, because the Motus just hasn't been really moving the way it has in the US. Finding something on the shelves now is very, very far and few between. But yeah, I mean, like we were getting some cool stuff, and even now we start to get some cool stuff. Like sometimes I would find, especially at Toys R Us, I would find some like G.I. Joe classifieds. Like the Baroness was sold out everywhere, Targets and such, right? And all of a sudden she was showing up at Toys R Us in like droves, and people were going nuts every time I found one. People would be like, "Oh, how dare you!" And people get pissed, and it was these crazy times, man. And again, the pandemic didn't help. Everyone was like, "What are you doing out? You should be indoors." I'm like, "Whatever, man." Like, if they let me out to go grocery shopping, I'm gonna see if they let me into Toys R Us. So it was like, I got into Toys R Us and I did my thing. And some people are happy, some people are a little bit, just like, how'd you get that? Like, what are you going to do with that? It's like, what, this is just the joy of the hunt. Right. So
exactly.
It was a really cool time. And the problem is that when gas started really going up, I had to sort of slow it down. And then with these tariffs, it got really hard. But you and a lot of people have basically said, Jay, you should go back and you should do some stuff. I'm like, okay, let's see what happens. I'm gonna put it up and see if everybody starts watching again. And if they do, heck yeah, I'm going to do it all over again. Absolutely. 100%.
You're one of the dudes that made me want to go into YouTube. So kudos to you. I remember driving around with my kid, like during that time, and I'd put on your video as you're driving, like in the car, like he'd be asking me, "Who's this guy?" I'm like, "Oh, he was a big toys. He loved all the toys and stuff like that. He's a big Spider-Man fan, a big Marvel fan." So I'm like, this is Mega J Retro, man. Like he goes around to Toys R Us and stuff like that. And my kid remembers Toys R Us too. So he was like, "Oh, wow, we don't have Toys R Us." He knows you as well. So I'm sure like when this is done and edited, I show him who I'm on with, he's going to be like, holy crap. So that's a good thing.
That's awesome, dude. I appreciate it. Thanks.
All right. So let's segue into the reason why we're here. And that is Masters of the Universe, right? You guys, I'm a big Masters of the Universe fan. And obviously from watching you for years, I know you are as well. So what was your first like thing with Motu? How did you like? You remember your first thing, like when you first saw He-Man, when you first saw Skeletor? What was it?
Yeah, so I've told this story a couple times on my channel. I immigrated here from the Philippines. My mom and my dad brought me here when I was really young. And for all the immigrants out there, usually when you come to a new country, you end up staying with your cousins and your relatives, and basically living with them for a number of months, maybe even a year. And I ended up living with my cousins for some time, and living with them was a lot of fun. And one day, my cousin John, he basically, we play in his room, and there was this thing on top of the shelf, and I remember looking at it and just being like kind of scared, but a little bit, but at the same time mesmerized by it. And I would point it out. I was like, John, what's that? And he'd be like, oh, that's not for kids. And I'm like, come on, what is it? What is it? It looks really cool. And he said, okay. So he brought it down, and that was the first time I ever saw Castle Grayskull. And I was like, what is this? And he's like, this is Castle Grayskull. And just like the freaking, if you remember those 80s commercials, he was like, boo, and like he would like knock down the drawbridge. And of course, Skeletor would come out and he'd start cackling, I am Skeletor, right? And it was just this crazy thing because I didn't know who these characters were. I didn't know what they did. Even John was kind of like, yeah, this He-Man, this Skeletor, this Beast-Man. I couldn't keep those names in my head, right? Because there was no cartoons when it first came out in 1982, right? And we're playing, we're having a great time. And then, of course, a week later, I come back, and he'd bring it down. And I'm like, what's that guy's name again? And we both forgot. So then he goes, okay, let me bring down the comic book. So we start flipping through the comic book. And we see all the Alcala illustrations. I can't read, or not read. I couldn't read well. So I'm just enjoying the pictures, right? But it had this fantasy aspect to it. You know what I mean? This real Conan the Barbarian kind of idea, which I didn't, at the time, I didn't know what Conan the Barbarian was. But I really was enamored by the illustrations, by what I could understand as the story. And I think that really resonated with me. And then, of course, I begged my mom and my dad, to pick up a couple for me and my brother. And yeah, we got a few here and there. We got like Skeletor, He-Man, Merman, and Teela, right? And then come Christmas, they got us the Snake Mountain and the Castle Grayskull. And then in 1983, Filmation puts out He-Man and the Masters of the Universe, the cartoon. And I was absolutely hooked. Like I totally forgot about the comics, the mini comics, and I just started watching this on a daily basis, and it became my world, man. It became my world for a long time, and started collecting all the Road Rippers, the attack, sorry, the Battle Ram, you know what I mean? The Dragon Walker, all these great vehicles that would come out with the toys, and my cousins, they had all their toys, and we would just like have a huge grand old time. And that was the great thing about toys, man. Toys really brought your family together. It was, and your friends, and you would swap, and they would take some, they would never bring them back. You would take some of theirs, and they would never bring, and you never give them back. It was such a great time to be a kid with action figures and toys back then, and that really stuck with me. And of course, you lose touch with it, but years later, probably when I was in my teen years, I started thinking about Master Universe all over again because I still had buried in my basement somewhere. My mom kept it. The Castle Grayskull and a few of my figures. So, you get that itch right afterwards, and you start thinking, okay, you know what? One of these days when I have a little bit more money, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start collecting. And it never really happened for me to be able to collect those, all the actual original Master Universe figures. But then all of a sudden you start looking and you say, hey, there's a new Master Universe TV show. It's New Adventures. And then there's another one a few years later, He-Man and the Master Universe 2000X. And then after that, years later, when I was already in college and university and actually started my new job, my first job, then I found out years later after that the Four Horsemen, create Master Universe Classics, and the whole thing just comes full circle. Like I said, everything's cyclical. So yeah, man, it's been He-Man has been with me for quite a long time.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I mean, I'm in my late 40s, so like to me, it is such an iconic part of my life, and I think a lot of people who probably grew up around my same age range in the early 1980s, mid 1980s, like that was part of your childhood. Even if you were not a guy, I had girl cousins that were growing up. They had characters like Teela, Evil-Lyn that would bring them in as well. But personally, Skeletor was always my guy. I've had this incredible fondness for the character my entire life. So I got to ask you, I ask everyone when we talk about Motu, are you leaning more to the evil warriors, or are you the heroic warrior guy?
I mean, the evil warriors are always going to be the most fun, right? At the end of the day, I mean, like that's really where things got, real imagination started with those guys, right? Uh, I really have a fondness for the evil guys. I really have a fondness for Too Bad. I loved the toy itself. This huge, gigantic chest. The two heads. The fact that he can hit himself. I always played that game with Too Bad. Don't stop hitting yourself, right? And I would just keep doing that because that's how they made them. They made them almost to hit themselves. It was crazy. Skeletor is definitely one of my absolute all-time favorite villains of all time. And of course, when the Master Universe movie came out in '87, Frank Langella just took that character and dialed him up to 11. And I just remember him being so deliciously evil. I was like, man, this is Skeletor. This is like on screen. And Frank Langella took that movie, put it on its shoulders, and just like walked it to the finish line, man. Because Dolph Lundgren just could not act. He was a big lumbering He-Man, and you love him. You know what I mean? But it was definitely Skeletor that made that film. So yeah, I can see exactly where you're coming from. The villains are always a lot of fun, but I will be I'll always be a good guy kind of character. I love them. My favorite character of all time has always been Manny Faces, and now today we found out that a brand new sketch edition Manny Faces is being released, right? So
I saw that.
A lot of things are coming full circle. All the Mark Taylor designs. It's looking pretty cool right now for Master Universe back in 2026.
There's a lot. I mean, I thought that, and I don't want to jump right into the toys, but like the new toys, but like I kind of thought with the Origins line kind of being almost finished, and now like I don't want to say the Masterverse, they had to like redo it because the original wave that they were putting out wasn't doing too great. So now they've kind of revamped it a little bit for like another release. I kind of thought that was ending. So I was a little surprised to hear that I've heard sales I've gotten an uptick now for Mattel because of Masters of the Universe. So I was happy to hear that.
There was a report, I think it was yesterday or today, that Mattel has actually said that action figure sales are up, and partially due to Master Universe, which is great. And it's surprising because the way they've been going along with Master Universe Origins and such, and how they keep delaying it, and certain series that they connect with it, like the crossovers, which we can talk about that for all day. But Origins has been left to its own devices really for Master Universe Master Universe Creations, right? Sorry, MattelCreations.com. And a lot of people are like, when are you going to finish the line? Like, just finish the line already, right? But I think that falls in line with what they're trying to do. Their strategy is to get a few more extra characters out there so that they can continue making these molds, right? And did you pick up Stingor? Because he's pretty wild, man. That's a pretty cool figure, Stingor. I think
so. For me, I have stuck to the characters that I remember growing up with as a kid, because I didn't want to, it becomes almost too much for me to start picking up new characters. So like I wanted to finish the run of like characters that were created in the 80s. And I'm still waiting like for an Origins Too Bad. We got the Filmation, but again, I would love to see a Prince Adam on card. We got one with the set, and then I would love to have a Mechanic. Also, we got the Mechanic with a Road Ripper. I would love to have a Mechanic on card. I want to finish out that line before I start picking and choosing other characters that I was planning to pick up later. So that was a little bit disappointing, and I feel like a lot of other collectors feel the same way, like you said. But one question I wanted to ask you, obviously, I know you were an Origins collector because I watched your videos. You go into the stores trying to look for, but like before that, like, did you pick up the 2000X line? Did you get the classics? Were you into that? Were you buying them, or to just kind of wait for that Origins and the Filmation stuff to come after that?
So I have to admit, by the time 2000X had come around, I was really disillusioned with New Adventures. I saw the animation way back when, and very much like a lot of the old school Filmation fans, I saw New Adventures and I thought, this is not cool. This is not good. And I didn't go that route for New Adventures. And when 2000X came out, I thought it was awesome. I thought the cartoon was amazing. I thought that it was a really cool, leaning into very anime type of action, and I thought this is really neat. The problem was up here in Canada, it was hard to figure out what time it was going to be on. It would hop from different station to different station. It was really weird, and I think it really did hurt the series that they couldn't figure out a proper time slot. But the other problem was that distribution was okay here in Canada, but I couldn't find it in my Walmarts at the time. So it was hard to collect. And because of that, I really did not get into 2000X, unfortunately, the Mike Young series for the Four Horsemen original 2000X characters, the He-Man and Master Universe, which I kind of regret because they did look freaking awesome. However, I will say, on hindsight, they are kind of more like movable statues. You know what I mean? They don't really have the best of articulation. They had this one cool pose, and you can sort of move them around, right? But I saw what the Four Horsemen were trying to do. They were trying to really get a type of McFarlane look at the time, because McFarlane was already doing his action figures and trying to really get, again, more movable statues, same thing, right? Like a lot of the stuff that McFarlane was doing at the time. But I really sort of that era of toy passed me by. And when I got out of college and started working, I completely missed classics. I was so deep into my career and trying to get ahead that I basically most of the geek stuff that I was doing was centered around anime around that time. I was really, really into anime, and a lot of the toys I was collecting at the time was anime based. And it was only like decades later, like about a decade later or so, where someone, like, I think I was on Big Bad Toy Store somehow, and I saw the last remnants, the last few Master Universe, what's it called, Club Grayskull figures, and I lost my mind. I was like, what? Where? I literally was like, where were these things? When did these things come out? I was absolutely losing my mind. And if you know anything about, and for everybody who's collecting classics, you know how much they freaking skyrocketed in price. At that point, it was like unobtainable to pick up any of these figures at a reasonable price. I think He-Man, the original He-Man, not Club Grayskull, for classics, at the time he was almost like $150. I was like, this is insane, Canadian, $150 Canadian, and I was like, this is Canadian, this is insane, this is absolutely insane, and I really wanted them. I wanted the whole line. Like, they looked amazing, right? They looked exactly the way I wanted them to look. The new articulation, everything about them, and Battle Cat looked amazing. The Battle Ram looked amazing. The freaking then you know what? At the time, Matty Collector and Scott Knightlick and the Four Horsemen, man, they were just killing it. To this day, it's my understanding that to this day, it still is the most complete Master Universe line out there. It has more figures than any other Master Universe collection.
I was probably like you in the same thing. I kind of went back on a nostalgia trip when I was a lot younger, and all of a sudden I caught these figures like at some point, like mid-release or towards the end of that line, and I went back trying to look and see how much they were, and they were, even in the US, they were crazy priced. I'm like, you know what? This would cost me an arm and a leg to try to pick these up right now. So I refrained. But the 2000X line, I don't remember where I saw it for the first time. But when I heard that these things were coming out, and I remember exactly where I was, it was at KB. I don't know if you guys had a KB in Canada.
We didn't have a KB in Canada, but trips down to Buffalo, crossing the border. I have been at KB. I have been at a KB toy store, so I know I did experience a KB. Yeah.
So I remember going down the aisle and seeing them for the first time. Like, holy crap! The original waves from that line were like, because you said like the updated structure of the figures, they weren't like the originals, more statuesque, very like I don't want to say articulated, but they were very detail oriented figures, which I absolutely loved. Like you said before, anime style, but like just a new look for He-Man. So I was just happy to see the IP back on store shelves. I was really excited. Started picking up all those because they were still relatively cheap at the time. Sure. But that line died very quickly when we got figures like Disco Skeletor and all the repaints we got really quick. So that soured me immediately. Once I started getting like waves where like there was no real like new figures coming out, I'm like, all right, this is getting ridiculous now. And that's where I kind of stopped, going for the line until the Origins line came out. And that to me has been like a blessing because I love the look of the original figures, right? That's what made them iconic. Those 5-inch figures that are like unlike anything else, so nostalgic, and they kind of recreated that, maybe updated it just a tad. And the card backs too was another thing, because if you're a Masters of the Universe fan, like the card back was part of the greatest uh I guess I could say things about Master Universe was the art, right? The card back itself, the art on the boxes. That's what made Motu great. Part of the reason it made great, but like so that they continued that with the Origins line, so that made it really special. The problem, in my opinion, I want to hear this from you with the Origins, that everything got really expensive really quick, and then they kind of ran out of characters to use.
Yeah. So first of all, I agree with you 100%. One of the best things about the Origins line is that they kept the tradition of amazing artwork. Right. First of all, they kept them on the classic cards, the exploding rocks, the blue sky, all that wonderful aesthetic for the Master Universe, really connecting the old school fans back to it, but still allowing for younger fans to get into it. And of course the great artwork, and bravo to all the designers and the illustrators, Roy Juarez and his team. Those guys are really killing it. For the line though, I sort of I like, you could see where it was heading. At first it was one of the most affordable collector lines ever. I think it started like $14, right? It started really cheap, really great to collect, easy to collect, right? And actually, that's why I was buying multiples at the time, because I was like, it's never going to be this cheap ever again. And it was great, but obviously, a year or two into it, they obviously upped it up to about $16, and then it went to $18. So yeah, but it's still reasonable compared to like a 6-inch figure. The 5.5-inch figures were still good. They still had pretty decent articulation. So I wasn't so upset about collecting the line at that point either. But when it finally comes down to it, they pretty much pulled it from shelves. I think after I'd like to say the fourth year, and that was upsetting, right? Because one of the biggest things I enjoyed, and you probably saw it, Lawrence, when I walked into Walmart and I finally found them for the very first time, that was like euphoria. You know what I mean? I saw them, and I think I was shaking. I think I was actually shaking when I saw them on the plate, and it just this wave of emotion came back to me. Here we didn't have like Walmart didn't come to Canada very early. Came like later in the 90s, in the late 80s, 90s, but we had Woolco, right? You guys probably remember Woolworth, way back in the day. Yeah. So Woolco was kind of like Woolworth. So we had Woolco, and I remember that was my place, man, because they would always be fully stocked with Master Universe, and it was a lesser degree when I finally found them at Walmart, because literally they would only have one or two sets. You know what I mean? And if you didn't get there early, they were gone. You know what I mean? Like that's why the hunt was so important back then, right? And I say back then, it was only like 5 or 6 years ago, right? But still, it was really important to get there early and to find it as soon as you could.
Let me ask you about deluxe figures, because I have this pet peeve with deluxe figures. I am not a huge fan, not because I don't like the figures, because I do, I love them, but like from a display purpose, because I am a mint on card collector. So if I'm going to buy and open, I'll open one and then keep one. But for the most part, I collect mint on card because I just think it displays better, especially with Motu, because of the iconicness of the artwork. So are you a deluxe guy? Because to me, I am not a fan of all the extra stuff they include with this stuff. And the box figures too, like Mossman. I would love to see a Mossman on card just for nostalgia purposes.
So my stance on deluxe is just because of the way it is. I have to collect them, right? This is part and parcel of what Motu is. But those cards are just because of the absolute weak cards that they put on. They're terrible. Like it's hard to find a pristine, especially if you're an on card collector. It's hard to find a pristine version without some ding corners or of a gouge. It's really difficult because they're massive cards compared to the regular size cards, right? They're double side, right? Like Hurricane Hordak. Sorry, Buzzsaw Hordak. Was his card was almost always mangled. Ram Man's card was almost mangled. Clamp Champ's card was almost mangled, right? So finding a good one in great condition is very rare. The boxed versions, yeah, I'm not a fan. I'll be straight up and say I'm not really a fan. But I mean, do I appreciate the extra accessories? Yeah, I do. Especially when it comes to Cyclone, because Cyclone was my absolute favorite. Gimmick wise, I love his gimmick. basically using him and just like spinning him as fast as I could with my thumb. That was so much fun. And the fact that they actually brought that back, I thought that was awesome. I thought that was really, really cool. But you're right. In terms of uniformity, in terms of like, how I collect, yeah, I would have preferred if it was just on the card, very much like Classics, where Classics has all the classic cards. You know what I mean? Like, well, not classic cards. The original Classics had this, weird box thing, right? But they were all uniform. Like you knew when you got a Classics that's how it would look, right? And then later on, when Super 7 got a hold of it, then they were doing the classic cards, and I was like, holy crap, this is awesome.
So that seems to be a good segue into the reason probably everyone is listening to this podcast right now, and that is the new Masters of the Universe movie. I can't tell you, Jay, how many freaking comments and questions I get on the videos that I put out about why this movie is on Earth. People are still excited about it. It's going to be wrong, getting a lot of positive stuff, but I think the fact that this movie is at least partially taking place on Earth has a lot of people upset. What is your take so far on what we know about the film, especially that part of it? Because I want to try to ease some minds out there if we can.
Okay, so I've made no bones about how I feel about the Earth connection. I am when the first reports started coming out from like Deadline and things like that. I remember reading the byline the very first time, and I was like, "What the f, man?" that was my actual reaction. I was like, "Why? And I'm reading the actual synopsis. I was like, Prince Adam is snatched away from his home and crash lands on Earth in a spaceship. I'm like, what is this, Superman? Like I was like, this like who cobbled this together? Like I was literally like, this is nuts. Why would you do this again with the Earth, right? And I said this on a couple of, on my own streams. I was like, what is Hollywood's reliance on tween or kids movies having to have some sort of human connection with Earth? Like it just boggles my mind why they insist on like including human kids. What's it called? Freaking Cox there, right? She was in the original movie, right?
Courtney Cox.
Courtney Cox, right? I was not trying to imply anything on that one, but Courtney Cox, right? And Robert Douglas McNeil, who ended up being on Star Trek Voyager. You know what I mean? What was their freaking fascination with having these two kids and this crazy backstory about how her parents are, gone, and he's the only connection he's got left, and she's leaving town, and it was just this weird, like, just like, why? Like, it was so confusing. None of the kids watching that movie, including myself, were like, who are these kids? Why do I care? Right? It brought me these crazy flashbacks of the Filmation Christmas movie, and I was like, why are we watching Earth kids, interacting with Eternians? It was just so weird. I mean, seeing He-Man running around in the buff, in the streets of New Jersey or wherever the heck he was, it's amazing he wasn't being arrested as a flasher. You know what I mean? But there was some awesome moments in the film for the original 1987 film. Like, I want an action figure of Lubick. I need Mr. Strickland in my life. Like, you know what I mean? Like James Tolkien, amazing actor. Whether he's playing a freaking admiral on a ship or whatever role he's in, he slays that role because he's always the same guy every single freaking. He's like Samuel L. Jackson, but like a bald. Like a bald older guy. You know what I mean? Like middle aged. He's like the paler version. Like literally, they're two different shades. You know what I mean? That's freaking awesome. But my thoughts about the film in general in terms of the Earth connection, just Travis Knight. I don't know who you had to please to actually get that greenlit, but you know what? Get it out of the film as quick as possible. Like make it a 5-minute segment. Whatever it is, but get them off Earth as fast as possible. But that's probably not going to happen. It's probably going to be more like 15 minutes of the film, which is, the quicker they get off of there, the better. But I'm looking at the cast, and two names come up very specifically. They're very Terran names, and I'm pretty sure those are his best friends on Earth. But fun little thing that I noticed in the credits, the actor playing Fisto, right? He has an Eternian name and he has a Terran name. So I'm wondering if he didn't get dragged to Earth alone. I'm wondering if Fisto was sent as a guardian to protect him, and actually he has some sort of connection with his uncle Fisto, right? And maybe he's the one telling him about his lineage and who he really is, right? And then finally, at some point, they find the sword of power, and they're both whisked back to Eternia somehow. I'm not really sure, but I think it's really cool that they're trying to weave this little story here. But my absolute number one wish is to get off of Earth as quickly as humanly possible.
Mike is here. Mike, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you guys?
We're
fantastic. So, yeah, thanks for joining us. So we talk about Motu a little bit, like the toy line, how we grew up with it, what we first loved about the toy line. But we're talking about the movie now, and I'm bringing you in here because I have to hear from you as well. I just asked Jay this question. A lot of people freaking out about the movie taking place on Earth. So I want to hear from you. What do you think? Is it that as bad as everybody seems?
I mean, I just heard Uncle Fisto. I hop in and I'm hearing, and I'm like, Uncle Fisto, okay. Yeah. Obviously I don't want it on Earth. That any Masters Universe fan will tell you they don't want it on Earth. But it is what it is. The 87 film took place on Earth. Maybe it's some kind of throwback to that. But, I'm hoping it's a short and sweet process of them being on Earth. It's probably going to be the first of 3 acts kind of thing where, according to the synopsis, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but an accident happens or a tragedy happens that leads to him going to Earth. It's not like apparently what we first thought, where it was the Superman story of him being sent to Earth. No, something happened that caused him to go to Earth, not wasn't sent there on purpose, kind of thing. So maybe that Fisto was in this ship as well, because I think I heard Jay talking about it in the credits, right? He's got an Earth name as well as his Eternian name. So that would be kind of cool, I guess. But again, with Earth, no one really wants to see it. So the shorter they make it, the better the movie, I think, will be.
So I'll ask both of you this, and one of you guys can go first, but it's not going to ruin the movie for you guys, right? You've been waiting for this for a long time. It's not going to ruin the movie for you, right?
Definitely not.
No.
Jay?
The reality is I've been waiting for, I want Master Universe on the big screen like everybody else. And no matter how it starts, and you know what, we've seen a lot of different promotional material now. And when I see Battle Cat on the screen, I think I'm gonna faint. That I think is probably the biggest thing. I've been waiting for a Battle Cat.
I would agree.
And if I see Orko, I think I'm gonna faint too. Seriously, I think I will.
There's things we've never got to see on the big screen because of budget, because of technology, that they can now bring to the big screen. And seeing that kind of stuff for the first time will blow my mind to the point where I'll be like, what about what? Once they hit Eternia, I will have short-term memory loss of what had just previously happened and be all in.
So a lot of people also in my comments have been shocked that there's been no mention of Orko. We had that totally CGI character we think is going to be Beastman. I said that before. How disappointed would you be if either of those two characters weren't in the film? And I'll add Merman to that as well, because I feel like he's an iconic character that, from the cartoon, from the toy line, he has to be a part of it. So iconic about being Skeletor's, one of his main henchmen.
Yeah, definitely. Beastman is one of the original 8-back, so I feel like all those characters need to be in the film. Merman, Beastman, Stratos. I think Zodak would be the only one I'd be okay with that didn't get into the film.
And we got that little bit of an inkling too. I don't know if you guys remember, on that whatever that platform is that we saw that from the leak photos, that there's a picture of Zodak there among who we think is Bo and some other characters. What about you, Jay? How disappointed would you be?
I mean, cuts have to be made. I totally get that. The problem is we have been hearing all these rumors and leaks from different places, what happened at CinemaCon in Las Vegas and things, and people were saying that a production trailer was made, and people were so blown away at the fact that they were seeing so many characters that they were naming off, Triclops, Webstore, this guy, that guy, everybody. And Goat Man, and it's like, okay, they're calling everybody out, but they're not calling out Beastman and Orko. But the reality is, I wonder, a lot of those people who saw it might not actually be real He-Man fans. I mean, they might remember something from He-Man, they might remember something from Master Universe, but obviously they're not as connected as us. Maybe Beastman was there, they didn't realize he was there, right? Maybe Orko was actually there, and they'd be like, oh, who's that little guy, right? Because people's memories tend to fog over and stuff like that, right? I'm hoping that that's actually the case, and they were actually there, and that it will be. And I'm hoping that the first trailer that's dropped, the first thing we see is freaking Orko casting a spell. I think that would be really, really cool. And it would be really funny if they just did an entire I'm Adam, Prince of Eternia. That would be hilarious.
I am Adam, Prince of Eternia and defender of the secrets of Castle Grayskull. This is Cringer, my fearless friend.
I think it would go really well I think that would go really well with the fans. I think that would. How they do mock commercials. I think that would be hilarious, and I think it would be. And it wouldn't be out of the realm for Travis Knight to do something like that. I think he probably would definitely be some tongue-in-cheek kind of idea with that. So, but how disappointed would I be? I think I would get over it. But yeah, I mean, Beastman is very much a pivotal character. He was in the '87 movie, right?
Exactly.
Orko being replaced by Gwildor. Gwildor is one of my favorite characters. So I'm hoping that if Orko doesn't show up, like Gwildor will make a cameo, or something along those lines. But definitely, I would absolutely love to see Orko. I think Orko is very much a part of the Master Universe lore, and he should be there. But if they're not, it would take me a while. But as long as the story is good, I think we can keep moving. So
I'm the opposite of you guys. He has to be in the movie. Orko has to be in the movie because he is such, like, just from the cartoon, like, how him and Cringer were Adam's best friends. Like, they never did anything outside of each other. So, like, having the three of them together, and you can add Man-at-Arms in that as well because of how protective he was of Adam. And then Teela was that kind of opposite, almost like that big sister who was kind of like almost domineering towards Adam. But, like, his group were those four characters, him, Man-at-Arms, Orko, and Cringer. So I feel like those characters, they need to keep that kind of groove that those guys had together, because that's really a big part of Masters of the Universe, in my opinion. But I'm just praying that we get Orko. I'm glad we're getting a battle cap, because that's going to be awesome. The transformation, I think, is what everybody is looking forward to. That first time he raises the sword and says it. But one other question I wanted to ask you guys, and I'll have a lot of questions about the film, but let's talk about the look. We got that snippet of him as E-Man from behind. What did you think of that? And would you have done anything differently? Or are you pretty happy with the way it looks?
I'm still waiting, because the cutout actually showed more than we'd ever seen. The stand-up that was at the licensing trade show, that was reported by Humania.com. So the overall design of Battle Cat, the over design of He-Man, those are still, by the way, as we found out, those were just production
concept, right?
Yeah, they're concept art. They weren't 100% solid. So it's still in the realm of what is actually going to be it. But examining it, lightening it up, looking at it, it's amazing how close to the Mondo original He-Man action figure it actually looks. In terms of, like, the leather, it's not really. It doesn't look like a fuzzy loincloth. It looks more like a leather strap. Kind of like kilt. And the gauntlets he's wearing look almost identical. Like, when we took a closer look at them, they all look almost identical to the Mondo design. So I don't even know. Maybe Mondo actually had some consulting. We don't know, right? But should he have been like Dolph Lundgren? Should he have been Arnold Schwarzenegger? Should he have been, like a gigantic mass of a man? I mean, part of me wants that. You know what I mean? Like, I've always thought that Arnold Schwarzenegger was He-Man. I always thought that, and I think even Arnold Schwarzenegger believed that he was He-Man. But do we need that? I think that I have to see it. Number one. Number two, if it's done well, and I've seen some of the rehearsals for the fights, I wonder how many fights we're going to get. You know what I mean? Rehearsing fights is one thing. Actually seeing them on screen is a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So I can honestly say I don't know yet. I really don't know yet. But that shot from behind was not helping at all because it's backlit. Half of the bleed makes him look skinnier than he really is. I
Mhm.
hope, right? But from what I'm seeing right now, the work he's put in, because again, the first time I ever saw a Nicholas Galitzine, and even not even knowing who he was a skinny surfer dude that I could, as far as I could tell. Like he had, it's getting to that Chris Hemsworth kind of idea, where when you first saw Chris Hemsworth, he was literally like a surfer dude. He was like a really skinny guy, but he put the work in and he became this like absolute beast. Is that going to be Nicholas Galitzine? I don't think so. I think he's going to be a lot thinner frame. But is he going to be? If he's going to be more muscular, hell yeah, 100% he's going to be more muscular. But is he going to embody what we believe to be as the most powerful man in the universe? I think Dolph tried his best, and he did look pretty ample. But I don't think Galitzine's going to get that big. So I still have to see it. But I'm hoping for the best. I really am.
Before I let you answer, Mike, I got to say that even Lundgren, he was very lean in that movie. He was big, but he's a big dude. But he was still too lean in that movie for me. So, Mike, go ahead. What was your first impression on that photo?
I mean, not good. I agree with Jay where he was, the backlit. It looked like someone took that with a cell phone and was just a poor quality, just all around. He looked small. But seeing some of the, him in the gym doing his little flex and things like that, there's hope. And if you go back and you watch the Filmation series, the Filmation He-Man, which is kind of the aspect of this movie looks like it's going for, he's not crazy, Brian Cage built like, he's not ripped out of his gourds here. He's very, fit, I guess is the best word, right? Like he's cut, but he's not huge. And you don't have to have you're gonna still be the strongest man. Like, I mean, in the Filmation series, he's picking up boulders and stuff. And I'm sure my fingers are crossed. They have to have that signature boulder throw in the movie. But again, that can be done. It's like he's got super strength, like a Captain America kind of thing going on, right?
Yeah.
He's got the power. So, I'm okay with him not being crazy huge. Although, the toy line, that's how he is. But I think this is kind of playing more to the Filmation cartoon. And as long as they keep that, again, kind of like what Jay's saying, I have to see it. But I think I'll be okay with it.
We didn't get much of the costume in that photo. Like Jay mentioned, the almost kilt-like garb that he's wearing.
That Roman kind of look to it, right? Yeah.
And the chest armor, we didn't get a good look at either outside of that, that merchandise stand that we got or wherever that was. We didn't see anything from the front. We did see there are leather straps, holding that chest armor together. I'm still hopeful that we'll get some kind of, metal on the front of that thing. And obviously the cross is a huge thing. I've said that before about lore of He-Man. I was not a fan of that 2000X He-Man symbol. Even now, like they've kind of altered it into the big H. I'm not a huge fan of it either. So talk about that a little bit. Like what your guys, thoughts on the symbol?
I mean, I'm a big Iron Cross fan as well, but I don't mind the H, honestly. I'm a big Battle Armor fan, and the Battle Armor had the H on it. So it kind of, that kind of symbolizes that. I know that it's not the Battle Armor. They just made it smaller on there. The 2000X one, is kind of wonky. And then I'm not a fan of like the new CGI with the two swords or whatever that made the H. That one I wasn't a fan.
Yeah, I love the Cordite. I love the Cordite cross. They're so iconic to He-Man. They really are. And people try to make this connection with the Iron Cross, right, from World War II. That's ridiculous. That's just a dumb connection all around. The cross itself, if you want to put in some sort of religious overtones, it is what you make of it. That's really what it comes down to. But at the end of the day, it is iconically He-Man. Would I be disappointed if it didn't make it on screen? Kind of. Well, no, I would really be disappointed. But just like the original '87 movie, they replaced everything with dragon heraldry, which was kind of neat. But would I have loved to see the iconic Iron Cross? Yes. would it kill me if I saw an H instead of a cross? It would really definitely be one of those moments. I'm like, wow, it's He-Man, right? They had the big H thing, right? But if the action is good, if the story is good, I would get over it pretty quickly. But yeah, I would love to see the Iron Cross, 100%.
All right, so switching gears a little bit, but still talking about the movie story-wise. Okay, this has been a big topic of discussion, especially on my channel, because I've kind of theorized how I think things may go for this movie, and I could be totally off, but I feel like a lot of people like really are trying to piece everything, the little bits that we have gotten, into like a story that may formulate on screen. So I don't know if you guys have watched any of the stuff that I put out, but I kind of theorized that obviously Adam gets to Earth somehow. We don't really know how that happens, right? You know, Mike put up a good point with, or actually Jay put up a good point with Uncle Fisto possibly going over to Earth with him. Makes sense. We did get those pictures of Teela on Earth running with Adam. So I kind of piecing it together is that we also get that CGI character also on Earth, which I'm claiming is Beastman that we don't know yet. But
Yeah,
I've been kind of trying to piece everything together, and I've come up with like what I think may happen is Adam is sent to Eternia for somehow. They're saying it's an accident now that's come out a little bit. Okay. However they find him, I think Skeletor probably knows where he is, or maybe he's looking for that power sword that is also on Earth. Adam happens to be there. Eternia knows that he's there, obviously. So Teela is there. They send Teela. I'm hoping Orko kind of goes with her, because that also follows the storylines from the cartoon. So I'm kind of piecing that together. And then finally they have to realize that they have to bring Adam home to protect him and the sword. And that's where it kind of takes off, and he finds out he's He-Man, stuff like that. So that's what I've kind of pieced together. I don't know if any of it makes sense, but how about you guys?
that's a great theory. I think him being sent to Earth, possibly Fisto is there as well, kind of as a protector. I definitely agree with you. I think that giant CGI, I mean, the ball was like 4 feet above the guy's head, and that's a pretty big character. So I would love to see a giant beast man just towering, 2000X kind of style, where he's just so huge. And then sending Teela down with Orko, that would be fantastic. Obviously I'm a big Orko fan, right? I would love to see him, in as much of the movie as possible, and then bringing him back. Yeah, I think there was a kind of, when that drone was flying over, there was that shot of him being captured by, it looked like Skeletor and possibly Evil-Lyn. And Skeletor,
I think 100.
He was in street clothes, right? So maybe Adam is brought back to Eternia by Skeletor, let alone Teela.
I have a hunch about why he's in street clothes there, and it's because of for CGI reason. And if you notice in that picture, and it's a really bad picture, it's far away, but his face is like totally whited out. Right. So I have a feeling that's all for CGI purposes, but at least that's what I'm hoping. That's going through my head. But what about you, Jay, about story wise?
Yeah, I mean, anything can happen. Evil-Lyn and Skeletor being sorcerers and sorceresses. It could just be an astral projection. You know what I mean? Where they're trying to trick him into revealing certain things, but they have figured out who he is, right? So basically, they bring him into some sort of like astral plane, right, where they show him. Maybe they're walking around Earth, kind of like a la Loki, right? In Thor, when Thor's captured and he goes and he's got this trench coat on, right? He looks very human. But in reality, he's just playing around, trying to trick Thor, right? I think they're borrowing from a lot of different movies and tropes, right? For movies that have come before. But that's easy because that's actually how you do it in films. But in terms of what you're saying, I can follow the story you're figuring out. 100%. I would think that the fact that Teela is on Earth, she definitely was sent there to try and wrangle him back. Either that or it's just a freaking stupid nod to the original 87 film, which is just hilarious. But yeah, I would like to think that that's more along the lines of what's actually going to happen. And I would love it if Orko was actually with Teela. I think that would be freaking awesome. And maybe his magic works better on Earth, or maybe it doesn't. Who knows? And of course, yeah, it would be great if we just see Beastman just lumbering around, jumping and trying to catch them. It would be really cool to see that. So, I think that would be great. I think it would be awesome.
let's segue into He-Mania.com. So I need to tell everybody out there, He-Mania.com. Before this, it was for Eternia.com, so that made the switcheroo. But how did you guys get involved with He-Mania.com? And I got to ask, do you know where they're getting their info from? Because they're breaking every piece of news for He-Man out there right now. And it's great. It's great. Shout out to them.
I'll let Mike take a quick stab at this, and then we'll get to the to the other part. But
I mean, the way I got involved with He-Mania.com was the site runner AJ reached out to me and was saying that he had a new project, which was a podcast that he wanted to do called the Eternia 4. And at first he wouldn't even tell me who was involved. He just said like, "Oh, I'll tell you once everyone else agrees." And I'm like, "Well, 4 guys talking about Masters Universe? Yeah, I'm in." Like, I don't care who it is. So this was, I think, May, I want to say, right? Somewhere around there. And he got us on when he told me it was Mega J, and then it's Shane from Powerhouse Animation who, helped make Revolution and Revelation. I was over the moon, was like, wow, like these guys are all really talented, and then I'm just a fanboy over here. But it was really it was really cool to be a part of it. And it's still ongoing. So, we've become close over the past few months, and I've just really enjoyed it. Kind of made new friendships through that. The reason Jay and I became a little bit closer as well. As far as how he gets his stories, he's got connections. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't know what those are. I can't really go into that, but he's got some people that bring him stories because they know he's the spot to get it out.
I'm very much in a similar vein on that segment, but I think Mike left out the fact that we knew AJ from before. We've been following. Well, I've been following for Eternia.com for quite some time, and at some point, inevitably, you reach out and say hi. And AJ is very nice. He actually reaches out back and says, "Hey, cool to meet you," and is a very cool dude, right? So, and then eventually he just came around and said, "Hey, would you like to be on a podcast?" I'm like, "What's a podcast?" Right? And so I wasn't really joking actually. But he's like, do you want to be on a podcast? I said, is that a YouTube thing? He's like, no, it's a radio thing. I'm like, what? Was it radio? I was like, all right, whatever, man. Like, cool, let's do it, right? And yeah, he wouldn't tell. That's the craziest part. He wouldn't tell us who's in the podcast. I was like, okay, who's in the podcast? He's like, I'll tell you when everybody says. I was like, what? Really? I was like, okay, fine, whatever. I don't care. Talk about He-Man, sure, why not? And then I found out, yeah, it was Shane and Mike, and I was like, cool. I kind of know those guys. Let's do this, right? And it was fun, and it's still fun, right? Actually, we're going to be doing a segment right after this segment, and shortly thereafter, we, meaning Mike and myself. No, this was actually when it was still called for Eternia.com. But shortly thereafter, Mike and myself started talking because I was heading over to San Diego for San Diego Comic-Con. And Mike and I just had this crazy idea. No, actually, no, I didn't have the credit. I was just enjoying myself, doing the for Eternia stuff. And then Mike decides to tell me a crazy story. And I'm going to let Mike tell you that crazy story. And then we're going to explain why He-Mania.com is now a thing with our current project. I think that's probably the best way to go about it. So, Mike, tell this great story you're telling everybody now.
Yeah, I mean, so there was one day after doing our podcast where we were all just chatting about, and everyone was getting ready to sign off, and I was talking with Jay. We were talking actually about YouTube stuff because I was trying to get my YouTube up and going. And we started talking about him coming out for San Diego Comic-Con and me being able to see him meet in person and be able to hang out. And we were talking about cons, and I told him, man, I miss PowerCon. That was my favorite con, even more so than San Diego Comic-Con. And I told him, when it moved to Ohio, I actually went online one night. This was like December of 2021. And I started this Kickstarter calling it Masters Con, and I'm like, if I could throw a con, what would I want? And I started putting all this stuff into Kickstarter. I submitted it, And Kickstarter kicked it right back to me the next day, and they're like, "Yeah, that's a great idea, but it's a little too bare bones," they said. And I kind of had this realization of like, what am I doing? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. How can I throw a con? Like, I have no experience. And Jay responds and goes, I have experience throwing cons. I've actually done this several times in Canada. And he's like, right now actually would be a perfect time for a Masters Universe con. There's a movie next year. And there's toys. And at the time, we didn't even know there's now a video game. But at the time, we didn't even think about that. And he's like, what do you think? He's like, do you think you'd be up for like doing this for real? And I'm like, check. Yes, this is my dream. Yes. So then we took it to AJ and Shane and started talking to them. And they were like, man, that's really cool. And that's a great idea. You guys are crazy. We took it to Toy Habits and we started talking with Michael and Toy Sorceress. And they were like, that's really cool. You guys are crazy.
There was always the crazy part that never stopped. It was, you guys are nuts,
right?
So
then Jay kind of gave me this checklist, and finding a hotel and making sure starting a business basically and things like that. And I just went through and started checking everything off. We did a soft launch, a soft announcement on the Toy Habits stream saying, hey, we're doing this thing, and all of a sudden people were like, can I help? I know this person. I actually used to work at PowerCon. I would love to help. And it was funny because at first Jay and I were like, we need to build a team. We're going to have to start looking around. We didn't have to look at all, like literally people were coming to us. It was really cool to see that from the community. Like, this vision I've had is really filling a hole that a lot of people had. And it's just really fun and, humbling, honestly, to be spearheading this new project that we're doing. That's, it's even hard to like speak about because it's like my dream come true. Honestly, it's just so crazy that this is happening.
All right, so let me go from there. You got the idea now.
Yes.
You want to do this He-Man powered convention.
Yes.
What happened after that? You got the idea. You went to Jay. Jay said, let's do this. You got some backing of some other people in the community. What happens now?
So then it became, okay, I don't have the kind of funds to just throw a con. And Jay's like, well, me neither, but you know what? It's like, let's come up with some fundraising ideas. And we had Google Meets with 12, 15 people throwing out all kinds of ideas. Jay's talking about selling his collection at one point. He even made a video and he's like, sent it to us. He's like, what do you think about this? And we're like, whoa, no need to sell your collection. Like, no. And
hey, you know what? You got to make it happen, man.
Yeah, that's true. Like I was right there with you. I was going to start selling stuff too. And, I didn't want to, but I'm like, hey, if this is going to make it real, then it is what it is. But no, we got a lot of great feedback, and it seemed like going back to Kickstarter was the way to do it. It brought a sense of, legitimacy to it, and people feel comfortable. Like, okay, I can put my money into this site and feel like it's secure, right? Not just like PayPaling Jay and I or something, So and we could really tell our story there, which I thought, Jay's amazing with the digital platforms. He's website design and graphic designer, and really being able to just tell you guys what we have planned. And it's really come together. The response to the Kickstarter has just, again, left me speechless, where I've been shocked at the response. We're doing really great. We're about halfway through, and we've already we're about to hit our second stretch goal.
Lawrence, it's actually crazy. We actually have a clip, actually, if you want to see it, of where we actually hit our first goal in under 6 hours. It was humbling and shocking, and we're hugely grateful to the community for helping us reach this milestone. And this is a funny clip because
well, yeah,
well,
I'm not even on it because I was so unexpected.
You'll see though. And we bring Mike in afterwards, but you'll see. This is a fun clip. Literally, like, well, you know, I went to Kickstarter. I did this and this and this. I'm like, huh? Well, oh my god! 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 Oh my god!
Someone
I'm gonna be really quiet.
Mike, get him on
I can't believe
ASAP.
it. This is.
Oh my god!
Mike in the
I'm like
house.
sitting on my couch, and we were talking about going live in like another hour, and then we were so close. I know Jay's like, let's get on. Let's get on for the. We knew it was going to happen.
So yeah, we were completely flabbergasted that would happen in just under 6 hours, and it was an incredible moment, and we really have the community to thank. As a matter of fact, if we head over to the actual Kickstarter itself, you can actually see that it's hit the goal of 12,000. Oh wow! Oh my god! It actually jumped. Holy!
Are we
crap.
over 13?
And look! Oh my god! Look at that!
Oh whoa!
It just jumped.
32.
Oh my god! 13. We've broken the $13,000 mark,
Weird.
guys. Holy crap! Oh my god! That's incredible. That is incredible. Thank you to everybody who has been supporting
95 backers now.
Thank you so much for everybody who supported this project. This has been an absolute incredible experience. Like seriously, we're so humbled by this. Yeah, we quickly reached our first stretch goal like a few days later, and now we're well on our way to our third stretch goal. So this has just been an absolute incredible experience. And oh my God, we're hold on, hitting refresh. We are down to our.
Yeah, I was going to say there's got to be only like 20 something left of the founders package. Then
there's only 27 founder packages left. So
27.
These are going crazy. Like this is nuts. So
for if the people are listening on the podcast on Spotify, on Apple Podcasts, so they've reached so far, and it just jumped while we're filming this to $13,218, which is wild. So kudos to you guys. And I got to ask you, what is the ultimate goal as far as dollar-wise to get this thing done?
So we have several stretch goals that we would like to get accomplished, and it's all thanks to the community. We have surpassed our $10,000 stretch goal already, and it's all thanks to everybody who's helped helped us to get here. We have a number of guests that have already signed on. But to your question, Lawrence, first of all, the $5,000 stretch goal helped us to secure the venue. So a huge thanks to everybody who helped us to get there. In under 6 hours, you guys are absolutely incredible. It was just amazing, and we were gobsmacked when it happened. Our $10,000 stretch goal allowed us to secure additional rooms in the venue. We were able to get breakout rooms and places that our guests can have keynote speaking engagements and just meet and greets. It's amazing we were able to reach the $10,000 stretch goal. And today, as you just saw, hitting 13,000 plus now. We're actually over the $13,000 mark. We're only a few $1,000s short of our $15,000 stretch goal. And this will allow us to actually get to the next level where we'll be able to secure additional spaces for even larger activities. The doors will open to new exciting experiences like cosplay zones, hands-on costuming workshops, guest speakers who have worked on Motuniverse projects, and special toy guests who brought our favorite action figures to life. This is my favorite one because I'm huge into cosplay, and I really want to be able to invite a lot of cosplay guests who can help people to really, get their cosplay goals in mind. If you want to share this screen again, Lawrence, I can show the. Sorry, I was I can show the actual. There we go. So yeah, I was just wrong one. So I was just moving through these goals here. So like I said, we already passed our first venue stretch goal at 5,000. So huge thanks to everybody for that. The $10,000 stretch goal, I just spoke about that a little earlier. And of course, I just spoke about the $15,000 stretch goal, which we are hoping to reach very soon. And we've already broken through the $13,000 mark. So we're very close to our $15,000 stretch goal. So huge shout out to everybody who's helped to make that happen. At $20,000, This one I think is Mike's favorite. So, Mike, why don't you go ahead and talk about the 20,000?
Yeah, so with the $20,000 stretch goal, this is going to allow us to kind of reach out to the bigger names. We want big name guests, right? And people that worked on Masters Universe that are not just. I mean, the reason we're doing this, a lot of this is in LA because there's a lot of the talent in LA, so travel costs will be minimal. But with that being said, there are people that worked on it that are in other parts of the country, possibly even international, that we would love to bring. And of course, we need funds for that, right? So with hitting the 20K, we'll be able to allot some of the funds from that to go towards bringing in those kind of guests, as well as we really want to look into screening the 87 Masters Universe film, possibly maybe The Secret of the Sword, 2000X cartoon.
And of course, the ultimate goal is, as you asked, Lawrence, is 25,000. If we can reach our $25,000 stretch goal, it allows us for everything to happen. Like the maximum amount of space that we can get for this event, and there's even more space in the hotel that we secured, and more guests, more space, more activities. High profile guests. At 25,000, everything becomes a reality, and we're hugely grateful to everybody who's already supported us, and we're very, very close to $15,000. So that only means that another $10,000 after that, we probably could fulfill all of our expectations and really help to make this the best Master Universe centric convention, because we do want Thundercats, we do want Silverhawks, we want all the other properties to join us, but
right.
It will definitely be a Master Universe centric convention, 100%.
So you guys mentioned before about founders set, what founders recognition sets. What exactly is that?
So the founders recognition set is one of the rewards that we'd like to offer anyone who's willing to fund the project with us. And what that entails is we would like to recognize people who are in the community who are wanting to bring this project to life. The founder recognition set is in recognition and thanks for the people who are the first adopters who are making this happen. Yep. We want these founders to be recognized, and they receive a Motuniverse Founders VIP badge and lanyard. So this gives you early access to the event, frontlight access to all guests and featured attractions, and all access to all after-hours attractions as well. Want to give them a commemorative certificate. So actually, I'll bring these up. You'll get the VIP badge and lanyard. We do have a founding members medallion, which is a substantial medallion. It's 50 millimeters in size. It's very beautiful. It's actually gold plated, and it's not really gold plated. It of course is just gold shiny paint, but it is beautiful, and it's it's a metal coin. It's not just a 3D printed coin. It really is a metal coin. It does say founding members medallion in recognition and thanks. And on the other side of the reverse, we have a different artwork, which we're still working on presently. And of course, all the members' names who are founding members, and there's only 100 sets, which is why we alluded to earlier. We only have about 27 left, right as of this moment. And the plaque recognizes the founding member who actually put their efforts for this crowdfund. And of course, they will be immortalized on a plaque, which will be hung at the convention in the Hallard Halls of Castle Grayskull. And of course, on our website, as well as hemania.com, they've also said that they will actually have this founders members list of names on their website as well, for as long as all the sites are up and as long as the convention is going. It also includes a T-shirt. All this artwork is to be determined. This is not finalized artwork. It's just imposition. And a founders members commemorative pin. Only founding members get this pin, and it is a recognition and thanks for their efforts of the founding members. Now, this pin, if you wear it during the convention, we will salute you with a good journey every time we see you and recognize the pin, as, of course, you are founding members. It's just our way of saying thank you and recognizing just how special you are to the Motuniverse event. So that's one of the ways that people can support. We also have other options. I mean, we do have a regular pin, which is pretty much just the Motuniverse logo. That's for $10. We also have the Motuniverse mug at $25. A number of people have already started to back that. We also have the Motuniverse regular t-shirt. This is not the founding member shirt. It's just a regular t-shirt, but it does look nice, and we have a wonderful set of designs on this. It's not final artwork. And then we also have the VIP package. Now, this is very important because the VIP package for the Kickstarter is an exclusive price for the VIP set, which will not be offered outside of a Kickstarter. As you can see here, it is a Kickstarter exclusive price at $60, where the regular price is $100. And this is for early adopters who wish to support the event through Kickstarter. We really appreciate all your support and your help. Once the Kickstarter is over, it will revert back to the $100 price tag. So this is your only chance pretty much to get it at a $60 instead of a $100 VIP. With the VIP badge, you get a VIP badge and lanyard, 1 hour early access to the exhibit floor on Saturday, early access to all events, priority access, meet and greet, signings, and featured attractions, access to our after-hours programming, and a single Motuniverse pin, which is not included with the VIP badge. This one's only available for the VIP package. Now, this is not the Founders badge, the Founders pin. It is the regular Motuniverse pin. But again, an excellent value at $60 instead of a $100 VIP ticket. So again, this is all these are all for early adopters and people who want to help fund this event. Before we start selling tickets and have anything, we're really grateful to the entire community for helping us along with this, and the response has been, as you know, the response has been mind blowing. So we really hope that we can reach our $25,000 goal.
So first and foremost, I got to tell you, I love the name Motuniverse. I think that's fantastic. When I saw it, that's one of the reasons why I reached out to you guys to kind of have you on the podcast, talk about this a little bit, but it's such a great idea to kind of have a Masters of the Universe centric con of its own, because I don't think people out there realize how popular this IP really is. From the people out there over in Germany, which I know it's huge, United States is huge, Canada is huge. So like bringing everybody together for this, I think is going to be amazing. I do have a couple of questions for the people out there listening who do listen to my channel for Masters of the Universe. The $150 package, you said there's 27 left. That's separate from the VIP package, correct? So there was no need to buy both, or is there a need to buy both?
No. Well, Mike, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So the Founders package comes with a Founders VIP pass. So you're technically a VIP, but even like more recognized, because the Founders VIP pass will be separate than the VIP pass. There's only gonna be 100 of them that'll say like you're a founder. But
on the pass itself, it actually has a design, a wonderful.
Yeah, we're gonna have a design on the pass itself, as well as you got your little lapel pin too. You can have on your lanyard, so we'll easily recognize you, or you can wear your shirt, and then you're really recognized that you're a founder. But we're gonna recognize everybody, honestly, and all the VIPs, because I'll see the VIP passes, and I'm gonna still be thanking them just as much, because everybody that's contributed to this has been immensely helpful. But there is no need to buy the VIP and the Founders package. You can just buy the one. If you only need one, you can just buy the one. Yeah.
Is there a limit on the? I was gonna say, is there a limit on the VIP? No limit, right?
There's no limit on the VIPs. No.
Do you guys have a date yet, or is that too far out of the woods?
No, we do. If you'd like to share the screen again, heading over to our website. You can see here that it will be held at the Torrance Marriott in Redondo Beach, California, May 23rd and 24th, 2026. That is Memorial Day weekend. And we are very excited to be partnering with the Torrance Marriott. A little bit of history on this. It actually was a venue for PowerCon many times. So a lot of people have fond memories of this location.
2012 to 2018, PowerCon was held in that place.
And we, as you can see, we are counting it down. 206 days, 14 hours, and 5 minutes left to go. And if anybody wants, they can sign up for the mailing list. They can get the most up-to-date information. And anybody who wants to be a vendor, because I know that's probably another question you have, Lawrence, they can just type in the message here that I would like to be a vendor, and we will add you to our vendor list and then give you information once it's available.
Any idea on how many like vendor spots there'll be, or is that too far, to know that?
We have an idea, but that is a floating number as we mentioned earlier, as the pledges continue to roll in, additional spaces get to open up.
Yeah. So as the as we made more funds with the Kickstarter, that allows us to get more space, and with more space, we want to have more vendors.
You guys heard it here first, right? This is a con strictly for Masters of the Universe, going to be held at the Torrance Marriott, Redondo Beach, California, May 23rd and 24th, 2026, literally 1 month before the movie comes out. How hype is everybody going to be at this thing, man? The fever is going to be pitched. I could already see this thing going to be a wildly successful venture for you guys, because I don't think anybody understands like the momentum that He-Man and the Masters Universe has right now. Mattel even said it. We touched on it earlier, me and you, Jay, about, toy prices starting to kind of kick off things for Mattel a little bit, with Masters Universe. So I think it's starting, man. I really do. I'm really excited for the things you guys are putting together. Hemedia.com, obviously, and now Motuniverse, man. I'm super stoked. So anything else you want to tell anyone listening to the podcast about Motuniverse before we kind of end the show?
You know what? We just hope you guys will help support the event and the Kickstarter. Just search on Motuniverse on Kickstarter. It'll come up. It's actually trending on Kickstarter because we reached our goal so quickly. And we want to thank everybody out there who has supported us so far. And keep those pledges rolling in, guys, because the more support we receive, the bigger the events we get. We are even possibly in talks. I'm not going to confirm or deny. For maybe some exclusives, and I'm not going to tell you who the exclusives are from, but possibly we have some very exciting exclusives for the show that are coming up, and guests.
If you'd like to become a sponsor here on the Mighty Rewind Podcast, make sure you reach out at the Mighty Rewind Podcast at gmail.com.